If I can make an observation, it seems the more programming you folks have, the more you're going to be on the air.
That's correct.
And even
Right.
though some of your programming may be televised on a regional basis, that will be transparent to the folks in Woodbridge, because they're still going to see it on Woodbridge. And what the town-specific aspect of it is for, is that if there's something that's so important, for example, like a live, what that is, it's a safety gap so that definitely your folks here in Woodbridge will be able to see that. And that if there is a conflict with another town as to when it needs a meeting, and that's very important to it, that you're going to be assured that Woodbridge will see that
Correct.
Woodbridge
Well,
program.
my understanding
And
is they're
that's very
completely
important.
independent,
You
though,
understand?
because as our town-specific could be running, let's say, 20 hours a day, and we're going to put a little window in our programming day to run something from your regional feed, not necessarily what's on the regional channel at the time we're giving you the window. So from our perspective here in town, it's going to be a lot more seamless than what it's going to be from your perspective. Your regional feed is your concern. We're going to add things to your regional feed, but we don't really care when you play them, because we're going to be watching
Correct.
your
Correct.
regional feed only when we want
When you're
to
not
watch
watching,
it.
that's
So I think
correct.
that the viewer at home is not going to see, they're not going to see the richness of the regional feed. They're only going to see the portion of the regional feed that we're going to choose. And I do think, and that was one of my last question here, was what are the openings on this contract? This is obviously beginning, it's going to go retroactive to January 1, 2007 when we started. Is it a year-to-year negotiation? Can it be opened in the middle?
Well, I think it's got to be flexible, because
It has
as
to be
you get,
flexible,
as you
right.
get more and more programming,
Right.
you're
Your-
going to
your
need,
time-
you're
your
need more.
blocks are
you're
gonna
need
increase.
more
Because right now,
slots, right?
it seems, and we took a look at your website, and it seems that there's very little regional programming for us to try to slot in. So we're probably going to start with a small window. And as your regional programming develops, it may be something that people in town want to see more and more of, and we're going to open up the
And
window.
as your programming develops and grows, you're
Mhm.
going to see longer and longer periods of your
Right, we're going to want to
program.
keep
We would-
all those hours
Yeah,
anyway.
it would-
Wonderful programming that is being originated out of Amity. It would be
Mm-hmm.
wonderful to have that shown throughout the
Mhm.
entire.
Yeah.
You said a
area.
moment ago, more programming, the more on air. Is there a ceiling connected with that or not?
Well, I mean, it's 24/7.
We're 24/7.
And my goodness, I don't think we're anywhere
Yeah.
near that. What the DPUC decision did say, and they said it very clearly, is that none of the towns, at least at the present time, have enough programming to warrant 24/7, and that was stated specifically.
That's kind of
in the
worrisome
decision.
here, because we are not the granddaddy of government operation in cable
It
advisory
sounds like you
area
got a
two.
lot of stuff, though.
Orange has a lot more.
More coming.
Right.
Mhm.
Orange is,
Considerably
their
more.
budget is 3 times our budget.
Sometimes.
10
10
times our
times.
budget.
Mhm.
At one time, it was 3 times our budget. They've got a big commitment to content there.
Mhm.
We don't have it yet. We plan to get there, though. You know,
Sure.
sorry, taxpayers, we're going to have 10 times the budget we have
You
now.
gotta build the audience
Um,
before you get the.
We're looking for other sources of funding as well, but, you know, so if the DPUC in any way engaged on the question of whether Orange had enough content to be town-specific,
And they said no.
And they said no.
but it does. The DPUC is not accurate in saying that, because Orange has a lot of content.
Well.
Compared to Area 9, which is town-specific, I think Orange hasn't beat, you know,
Yeah.
hands down.
Orange hasn't beat hands down in Area 9. We did the surveys in Area 9,
Sure.
and they,
Yeah.
believe me.
But there's still an awful lot of
So-
duplicative programming,
Yeah,
even
I
in
mean, we're
Orange.
kind of small fry compared to Orange, and there are certainly people who, you know, are interested in both Orange and Woodbridge, and I think that there is programming. There have been times that we have literally picked up and broadcast OGAT programming, and they've got their blaze down at the bottom. I think what we need to do is see what you end up on your regional, and that's gonna depend on how your negotiations go elsewhere.
Well, on our regional will be everything that the
Everything that
town
gets
is
to you.
producing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be everything that's coming from Woodbridge. It's going to be everything coming from all of our 6 towns.
Right.
Right now, we have 2 towns that aren't really involved. They're not there yet, and they have the interest, but they're not ready.
And
This is
hope-
Fairfield and
Fairfield,
Stratfield.
Bridgeport.
And hopefully
And
by
Stratford
seeing
is growing.
your
Yeah.
programming, they will.
And that's
become
what we're
interested.
hoping. When
Right.
when they now see all this other content coming, that's going to motivate them to
To go
get
where
moving.
their
on it. That's what we
citizens
hope.
will ask for
Yeah.
it. that's what we have.
Okay, so in terms of your timeline, do you have a January 31st deadline to get back to the DPC?
The
that's
deadline
scheduled?
we have for the department is we have to report
We
to
have
the
to give them a
department on what
report.
we're doing.
Right.
Now,
I
what
thought I
we,
saw that it was final, that
No.
the final scheduling had to be in effect by January 31st in the decision.
here's the carrot that the department did.
Mhm.
The sooner those schedules are in place with the 6 towns, the sooner that 60 grand's gonna be released to us. Right now, it's being held in escrow.
Well, released to you, but
Correct.
released to towns, as it, I
We
mean, it's
will-
gotta go, it's, the incentive program has to be allocated for the municipalities, right?
It has to be yes, it does,
Mm-hmm.
For
but-
E&G.
Right.
for E&G, but Soundview will be.
So that's the municipality's kind of incentive to get going on.
It is. It's,
Even more
it's
than
everybody, and
Nigeria.
it's even Soundview's too, because
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, we
It's sitting
wanna
there.
get it going.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's the carrot that they put in
Okay,
place.
so why don't we, are there more questions from our commission members? And we do have one commissioner who's not here with us tonight, and I'm sure she'll have some questions for us, Nikki Kleeman. So if we get some more questions, we can pose them by email, we can continue conversations.
Sure.
What I've been doing is just forwarding around the emails to the rest of the commissioners. So we're having a transparent conversation. Anybody out there who would like to see our emails, just give us a holler and we'll send you an avalanche of emails.
Now,
All FOI-able.
yeah. Now, I want to repeat this. Right now, the channel coming out of Woodbridge, and whether it's Amity and that, is on the iNet channel. What you do with that channel, that is your business. That really has
Mhm.
nothing to do with Soundview, so we need to know that. It
Mhm.
is when the crossover goes to the community access channel, 77, 78, and 79, that becomes Soundview's
Now,
jurisdiction.
do you have to
Or
have a
our
schedule, a
responsibility.
final schedule to the DPUC for approval before that switch is gonna happen?
Well, I would say as soon as
They're
we
pretty
work it out,
flexible.
as soon as we work it out with each town, we will incorporate that schedule, I would think. As soon as we get an agreement, we'll
Mm.
get that,
Yeah.
we'll get that
So we're not
implemented.
expecting our switch to be thrown without our knowledge?
No, it
There'll
will be done with your knowledge. You
When you
will,
say
you will know.
Soundview's jurisdiction, can you
So-
define that for
Yeah,
us?
right now, we are the provider
Well, more our
of E
responsibility.
77,
Mhm.
78, and 79. That is Soundview Community Media. I think up until this time, there's been the thought that the towns were controlled 77, 78, and 79. They do not.
We have a situation where the switch was thrown for our 79 operation back in 2001. This is under Roger Harrison's first selectmanship. And it has not been switched back except during the Rowland impeachment hearings that weren't. Other than that, our first selectman has been able to write a letter to Cablevision and make a phone call, and we have had the ultimate say of what's on Channel 79.
That no longer exists.
Mhm.
So just so you know
Well,
that. That was the big contention in the
But the switch
proceeding.
itself hasn't happened yet, so we're still in the
Yeah.
old system, even though, this was
Well-
supposed to take effect January 1st, the DPUC has not said, okay, flip that switch. That hasn't happened.
No. But right now, the first selectman doesn't control that switch now. Effective January 1, we're dealing with the new franchise thing, and it's very clear.
Mhm.
That is controlled by Soundview Community Media. So you need to know that.
So we have an agreement, we have a gentleman's agreement that the switch is not being
We will
thrown
not make the
until we
switch
make it.
We have a
until-
gentleperson's agreement.
Yes, we do.
Perfect.
Yes, we do.
We wouldn't do that.
Yes,
Good.
And we wouldn't do that. We want to
We got
make,
you on camera, so you can't
we
do
want to make
that.
you successful. You know,
Unless
we're
verbal
looking, we're
contracts are
hungry for programming.
held
We
up.
want programming on
That's
our
right,
channel.
that's right,
Yeah.
yes. we
Whether,
understand.
whether it be disseminated from here for just Woodbridge, or
Yes.
whether it be
Right.
disseminated for Soundview for the 6
So it's
towns.
just terms and
We're all
conditions
hungry
now.
for programming.
Right, it's
Mhm.
terms and
Yeah.
conditions, because the message is clear and it's positive
Mhm.
and it's encouraging.
Yeah.
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 And I
We
want
wanna
to, I
work with
also
you.
want to let you know, the great advantage, Jonathan, is there is a whole educational channel out there that's for the grabbing for Amity. Please
And
get
that's
us
where
your
the school
programs.
districts, both the
And that's-
regional
we
Amity
have to-
district
we
and
have
the
to
Woodbridge
discuss that more
district.
and,
Yeah.
Yeah, we would like to get that.
Because as you
um,
can see with the
up and
incentive
going.
program, high schools are an eligible participant, so it could mean that
Let me
we.
ask you that, why isn't, we have an elementary district here in town. And that's
we-
the one that's fully controlled in Woodbridge. We don't fully control.
We have.
We're
ex-
1/3.
yeah.
Regional, right?
We
Yeah.
have had
And Bethany is
experience,
one.
yeah,
They're not.
we have had experience over the last 7 years on the elementary and middle school level with schools in Fairfield and Stratford and that. It doesn't really work well.
I've been
we
looking at
find-
some feed down in San Antonio, Texas, that's just amazing, and it's
Yeah.
coming out of an
Well,
elementary.
just
We-
go to the Apple
we
site, go
have-
to the Apple
Apple,
site and
yeah.
look at some of the middle
Mhm.